Welcome to The Explainer. I am so excited to jump into today's topic with you. We're going to deconstruct the absolute massive scale, the wild logistics, and the multi-billion-dollar future of Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport, or CSMIA for short. This place is a 1,900-acre behemoth with 90 years of history, and it is literally the beating heart of India's financial capital. So let's just get right into it, because the numbers we're dealing with today are, frankly, mind-blowing.
55,120,000. That is exactly how many passengers passed through CSMIA in the 2024 to 2025 financial year alone. To put that into perspective for a second, that's like moving the entire population of South Korea through one highly constrained piece of real estate in just 12 months. It firmly cements Mumbai as India's second busiest airport. But as we'll see, the spatial constraints they operate under make this volume an absolute operational marvel.
Here's our agenda for today. First, we'll look at Mumbai as a global traffic hub. Then, we'll unpack their ingenious cross-runway solution. Third, we'll explore the massive rebuilding of Terminal 1. And finally, we'll peek into the future with Navi Mumbai.
Okay, Part 1. A global traffic hub, connecting Mumbai to the world. Think about the sheer density of their domestic network for a second. By early 2026, the Mumbai to Delhi sector is on track to be the sixth busiest domestic airline route in the entire world. It's relentless. You've got these early morning business flyers running on nothing but espresso, and then late night returns where the city skyline just fades into the haze right after takeoff. It operates with this incredibly tight, commuter-like frequency that puts a ton of pressure on the infrastructure.
And it's not just domestic flights. If we look at international arrivals, just in the first 8 months of 2025, from January to August, the airport saw over 5 million passenger arrivals. The UAE is the clear top source market here with a massive 1.5 million of those arrivals, followed by the UK and Thailand. When you factor in a compound annual growth rate of 21% over the last 3 years, plus new direct flights to 55 global destinations, Mumbai is undeniably India's premier global gateway.
Which brings us to a really impressive number, 9. Out of all the thousands of international airports around the globe, CSMIA actually snagged the 9th spot in the 2025 Travel plus Leisure World's Best Awards. They scored an 84.23 based on hundreds of thousands of passenger votes, making it the only Indian airport in the top 10 for 3 years running. A big part of that is their digital-first approach, using biometrics and self-bag drops to keep things moving smoothly. But it begs the question, how on earth do they handle all these people on such a small physical footprint?
Well, that brings us to Part 2, the cross-runway solution, choreography on the tarmac.
So, here's the wild part. CSMIA holds the unique and probably highly stressful title of being the world's busiest single-runway airport. Now wait, it technically has 2 runways, right? But they intersect like a giant X. Because they cross paths, safety rules say they cannot be used at the exact same time. This forces the airport into these crazy rapid, sequenced single-runway operations. Every single takeoff and landing has to be perfectly threaded through the exact same operational needle. And here's how they actually pull it off. The primary runway, 09/27, is 3,445 meters long. That's your main workhorse. It handles the heavy international wide-body jets like the Boeing 777 and the massive Airbus A380. Then, intersecting it, you have the secondary runway, 14/32, which is a bit shorter at 2,925 meters. This one steps in mainly for domestic flights to help ease the congestion on the main strip. Air traffic control is constantly bouncing between the two based on wind, weather, and traffic to squeeze out every drop of efficiency.
And the result of that efficiency? 60. During peak times, this cross-runway setup handles an unbelievable 60 aircraft movements per hour. That is one plane taking off or landing every single minute, hitting nearly 1,000 movements a day. It is a high-stakes, flawlessly executed puzzle running 24/7. But as you can guess, when you hit 60 movements an hour on crossing runways, you hit a hard wall. You can't just pave a new runway in the middle of a crowded metropolis. So, how do you keep growing?
That takes us to Part 3, rebuilding Terminal 1, growing within constraints.
The answer to growing when you're out of room is a massive 5,000 crore rupee master project to completely demolish and rebuild domestic Terminal 1. It kicks off in November 2025.
Now, you obviously can't just hit pause on Mumbai's air traffic, right? So from 2025 to 2028, all that traffic is going to be meticulously diverted to Terminal 2 and the new Navi Mumbai airport. Then, by 2028 or 2029, a brand new Terminal 1 will finally open its doors.
So what does a 5,000 crore rupee terminal look like? Well, the upgrades are absolutely monumental. We're talking a 20 million passenger capacity boost, which is a 42% increase from what it can handle now. The goal is to make it India's first brownfield, sustainable airport, featuring this really cool biophilic wave-inspired architecture. Think lush indoor greenery and tons of natural light. It's also going to be a multimodal transit hub, plugging directly into air, rail, and road networks to future-proof the whole operation. But honestly, even with a brand new Terminal 1, Mumbai's needs are growing way faster than its physical borders allow. To truly shatter that capacity ceiling, the city needs a second lung.
Which leads us perfectly into Part 4. The future Navi Mumbai, a dual airport ecosystem.
96,000 crore rupees. Take a second to let that number sink in. That is the monumental National Investment Master Plan the Adani Group has mapped out for its airport business over the next 5 years. And a massive chunk of that capital is aimed straight at solving Mumbai's capacity crisis by finally bringing the Navi Mumbai International Airport, or NMIA, to life.
So how do you roll out something this big? Well, it happens in steps. Step 1 is an initial launch of a 20 million passenger capacity, fueled by a 19,000 crore rupee investment. Once that's breathing, they immediately move into Step 2, aggressively evaluating and expanding into a second terminal. All of this drives towards Step 3, an ultimate capacity of 90 million annual passengers. This is a massive greenfield project built entirely from scratch to soak up the soaring demand of the Mumbai metropolitan region.
Fast forward to 2030, and you're looking at a completely unified dual airport ecosystem. Right in the heart of the city, you've got CSMIA acting as the modernized hub, running hyper-efficient, fully digitized operations out of the rebuilt T1 and T2. Meanwhile, just across the harbor, Navi Mumbai acts as the mega expansion hub, doing the heavy lifting with that huge 90 million passenger capacity. It's an incredible 1-2 punch.
But let's bring all this data and infrastructure back to the human element for a second. Jeet Adani, the director of Adani Airport Holdings, summed it up perfectly. He said, "This redevelopment is not only about expanding capacity, it is about future-proofing our city's place on the global stage." And that hits the nail on the head. This is about making sure Mumbai stays a competitive, thriving economic powerhouse rather than getting crushed under the weight of its own success.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought. Between the modernized CSMIA and this massive new Navi Mumbai hub, Mumbai is building an ecosystem that will eventually handle over 145 million passengers every single year. As this unprecedented expansion completely rewires the local landscape, how is it going to reshape the rhythm and flow of global aviation as a whole? It's a massive infrastructure story and definitely one we're going to be watching closely. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.